Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today what we're trying to do basically is I want some more software to run on my 380Z. The 380Z's this, I have shown it at least once on the channel before, but this is my research machine's 380Z. It's basically the oldest computer I have in my collection. These were first made in 1977. Mine is actually slightly later than that. I think mine is around about 79, 80. It was a CPM based machine, a Z80 processor. This was the first computer that my high school ever had. I managed to acquire this off the head of the IT department of my old high school before I left, because he knew I was into, even back then, I was into old computers. Like I said, I got this off him. Basically, it had been decommissioned and it had been stuck in the back of a storeroom for a long time, unused. It actually had quite a long life with the school. Like I said, I believe they got this in either 1979 or 1980. And I believe it was used up until the very late 1980s. I started at school in 1990 and I never ever saw this computer in use. I think the last thing it was ever used for, it was actually given to the physics department, and it was used to run some physics software, which is actually basically what I've got for it. This is the original disk box that I got with the computer all them years back when I got this. I got this probably in around 1994 and 1995. I left that school in 1995. Yeah, I left that school in 1995. And I think I got this in either 94 or 95, so I was in the last few years of school when, like I said, I did get this off them. And basically have some original floppy disks, well, copies of original floppy disks that came with it, and they're basically, most of them are like physics programs, things like that. We've got there's some disks that I made when I originally actually got it, because I weren't sure how well these would survive. Like I said, I've had this computer over 20 years. So back then I did make a backup of things like the CPM boot disks and things. Amazingly, all these disks still work. Most of these disks are getting close to 40 years old now, and I think every single one of these still actually reads in the computer. But it's basically, this is all I've got, and it is all just bits of educational software from my old secondary school. I mean, there's some interesting stuff in here, but it does limit this computer. I mean, these were used, they were just to schools, colleges, universities type of thing. I don't think they were really used anywhere else. They may have been used in, I don't know, perhaps local councils or stuff. I don't actually know how many of these things were made. It must have only been in the low numbers of thousands. It's not a common computer. You don't see these computers about everywhere. In fact, if you go looking online, there is information about them. The Centre for Computing History have got one in their collection. There are a few other people that have got them. Finding software for them, however, can be an issue. I was looking the other day, basically. Let me get it back on me. I was looking the other day for software for this thing, and I found a chap online, a small, rather old looking website. Excuse me. And he had quite a number of disk images for the 380Z and for the 480Z, which was basically what came slightly after the 380Z. And I downloaded everything he had on his site that was to do with the 380Z, and some stuff I've got in another folder which I couldn't actually figure out from the site whether it's 380Z related or it's just CPM related or what have you, but I've made the mistake before of seeing things like this online and thinking, oh, that's a useful resource, I'll bookmark that. And I've bookmarked it, and I've wanted to go back a few months later maybe, and thought, oh, I could do with downloading that. I've gone and the site's disappeared, it's vanished. So I never take that risk. If I find something like that, which I think that could be a resource for me or other people in the future, I do tend to download it and archive it on my own system. So there was about, I think there was just under 50 disk images for the 380Z, which it definitely said was 380Z stuff. And they're in this format called is it IDM or IMD. And I'd never heard of it before. Anyway, I read up on the website, and it's this piece of software, and it's called ImageDisk. I've got it up and running on the 486 here. And it basically, it's a piece of software. It's a bit like Omniflop and things like that, that can deal with non-standard disk formats. Now, I was thinking I would probably be able to use something like Omniflop to do this. I cannot figure out or find a way of getting Omniflop to work with the disk file formats that the 380Z uses. I can get it to read 380Z disks and make a disk image from them. I've not been able to successfully get it to write one of them disk images back to a disk which will boot, but and nor have I been able to get a disk image off the web and use Omniflop to get that onto a floppy disk. But apparently this image disk will. Well, it should do. Now this is where I'm coming in, because I've been playing about with this for a few hours now, and I've come across an issue. Now, it does say it is very, very picky on the computer it runs on what the actual disk control hardware in the computer is. It does actually recommend a 486 for using this. It said the software will run on anything from an XT upwards, but it does actually recommend using a 486. I did actually try getting it to work on my Bridge PC, which is it's like a Pentium 4 class Celeron. And although I got it to boot from a DOS floppy disk, it got halfway through booting up ImageDisk and just crashed. It would not boot on it. I loaded it up on the 486 here, and it loaded up first time, no problem. Unfortunately, there is a problem. Now, ImageDisk does say it can work with high density drives. The 486 has got a 1.44 meg and a 1.2 meg high density disk drive in it. No matter what I try, I cannot get that disk drive to write the disks. I'm sure the software is working fine. I think the problem is the fact that I've got that high density disk drive in there, and that is not allowing it to actually write the disks. Essentially, the problem is the stepping is different between high density and double density. For every one step of a double density disk head, a high density actually has to do two. It has to do what's called double stepping. And the actual speed that the disk spins at is different. I believe on a double density disk it's 300 RPM. On a high density disk I think it's 360 RPM, and that also causes an issue. Now, I have read online how you can modify certain high density hard drive, high density floppy drives to actually work at the slower 300 RPM. However, I have quite a few floppy drives, and I've just had a quick hunt round, and I've come up with this. What we've got here, this is a TIAC. It's a TIAC FD55A. Now, the FD55 range is quite a well-known common TIAC floppy drive. These are battleship drives. They are very, very reliable. They are very, very well documented online as well. Basically, they're all FD55s, and then you've got the A, the B, the C, and that basically designates what the actual specification of the drive is. Now, the A is the base drive. This is the most basic of the FD55s that they produced, which means it's a single-sided double density drive. if you look on top, we actually only have the one read head and then a felt pad on top of it. Now this should be absolutely perfect for writing discs for the 380Z. Now the 380Z actually uses double-sided, double-density disk drives, very much like you'd find in an original like IBM PC, the full-height, double-sided, double-density disk drives. But the 380Z is a bit weird because it actually treats them, the two drives, as four drives, as in you've got when you boot from the A drive, you've got an A drive and a B drive, but you've also got a C drive and a D drive, which is essentially, it's the other side of the disk. So it treats the first drive as drive A, as the top drive on the disk. It treats drive B as the second drive's top half of the disk. It treats drive C as the drive A's bottom side of the disk, and obviously drive D is the bottom half of the B drive disk. It's quite complicated like that. I believe that's because these 380Zs originally just had single-sided disk drives like this, but as an upgrade you could actually fit the double density drives and have it configured as I've just said mine's configured, and I obviously presume that's what's been done to mine. But what it should still mean is we should be able to use this single-sided drive, because basically all the disks are just, it's treated as a single-sided disk. So providing we're only using that one side, we should be able to use this double density single-sided drive to actually write the disks to actually run on the 380Z. So that's what I'm going to try anyway. So let's get to that. I'll get us set back up. We'll have a crack into the 486 and we'll have a go at swapping this drive for the 1.2 meg drive that's in there at the moment. So back in a sec. Okay, we're all set. Now the first thing we need to do, the last thing that this was used in was the drive in a BBC Micro. First thing we need to do is actually see what the drive select's set for, because unlike a PC, this could be either set depending on whether it was the first drive or the second drive or just a standalone drive. The drive select could actually be set to 0 on this. All PCs, because they use a little twist in the cable to determine the drive select, need to be set to drive select 1. So we need to just set, obviously if this was used as a second drive in the Beeb, we've not got a problem, but I have a feeling this came from a one drive enclosure. So let's have a quick look here. Now I've already looked in the manual actually, so I know this, and I actually know these drives fairly well. Anyway, we have a look at the back here. We can have a look at that set of jumpers there. The second jumper across there is actually our drive select jumper, and it is currently set to drive select 0 because this has obviously been a single drive or drive 1 in a 2 drive setup. So what we need to do is just take that jumper off, and we need to move it across 1 like that. So that's now set to drive select 1. So this should now work as a PC drive. Even though it's only got one head, we should still be able to get this to actually work in the PC. Obviously we're not going to be able to read PC formatted discs with it, but that's not the actual point of what we're doing. So we'll stick that to one side for a second, and we'll get the top of the computer off. Now I've actually been thinking about swapping this drive out for a while, mainly because I don't need it in here. My bridge PC's got a 1.2 meg 5.25 in it. This computer lives next to the 380Z, so it just makes sense to have a drive that's compatible with the 380Z for actually making discs for it, right next to it really. I mean, eventually this will be connected to the network, so at the moment I've actually managed to stick all, I think it was just short of 50 disk images on 4 1.44 meg floppy disks. So I got them using a USB stick off my laptop, put that onto the bridge PC, and used the bridge PC to copy them onto 1.44 meg floppy disks. Then obviously copied them onto the hard drive of this computer. eventually, like I said, it will. This does run Windows 3.1. So obviously it's easy enough to network. It does have a network card in it. So eventually it'll be just it'll just be a case of switching the bridge PC on, loading the files up on there, and dragging them over to this computer. And obviously with the drive in it, we can then just spew out 5¼ inch discs to actually put into the 380Z. Right. So we'll pull out the 1.2 meg drive that's currently in here. This is a good drive as well, so it will go into another system. I've actually even considered downgrading the drive that's currently in my bridge PC to a 360k drive to make it easier to write double density discs, because quite honest, I'm probably more likely to want to write double density discs with that computer than I am with high density discs. Although what I might do is look at perhaps doing some switchable modifications to a 1.2 meg drive so it can act as both. But it honestly depends on your drive whether you can do that. Some you can, some you can't. There's plenty of information online about modifying 1.2 meg drives so they will work more like a double density drive. So anyway, that's out and that can go back into storage. I can go into my floppy drive stocks. Let's see if we can retrieve that screw that I lost when I took it apart. There it is. Come on, out you come. Come on, where's that screw gone now? There it is. There we are. You always lose one, don't you? Right, there we go. That's out. So we've already set the drive select on this. We'll slide him in. Like that. I'll need to secure that in place. What have I just done with that other screw? Right, where are you? Screw it in there. I'm sure I had another screw as well. So just bear with me a second, folks, while I just find another screw. Okay, we've got it in. It's all fixed in there now, and that was a bigger pain than I thought it would be. Because if you look at the old drive, basically if you can see the edge connectors there, and we've got the Molex in the middle there. On the new drive, the Molex is on the very far side over there, and then the edge connector is kind of in the middle, but down on the bottom there. After I got it screwed in, I got the edge connector in eventually, and then realised I couldn't actually get the Molex connector back in, so I had to take the whole damn thing out again, connect them up, push it in, and then screw it in place. But anyway, the drive is now fitted in place. We'll stick the cover back on the computer. There we go. Push him home again so we can actually get the keyboard up. There we go, and let's switch on. I'll get you up on the screen. What I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to reposition you so you can actually see the screen properly, because that's going to be much more important than you actually looking at what I'm doing. So I'll get you set back up on the screen. Okay, hopefully you can see that okay. Now if you just heard just before I paused the video then, you heard the computer beep, and as you can see it's come up. Invalid configuration information, please run setup program. So let's run the setup and press F1. System configuration was changed. Right, so let's hit a key. and the reason it's changed is because we've no longer got a 5¼ inch 1.2 meg drive there. So if we go back down to that space, we can set that for a 5¼ inch 360k drive. So basically the only thing that we're interested in, the fact is that it's a double density drive rather than a high density drive. So we will press escape at that, F4 to save and reboot. We'll just let the computer boot up into DOS now. If you heard then, it actually did seek the second drive. As you can see, I also sorted the autoexec.bat and config.sys issues out with this computer, so it does work right now. We'll go into IDM. I've called the directory IDM because I'm dyslexic. It should be IMD. CD IDM. And basically we've got some various utilities in here. One of the useful ones is we can actually test the floppy disk controller. So let's do that first. Let's give that a quick try first. So let's try test FDC. So we need to do the test, right, we want to test drive B. So we want to type test FDC, and we want to type the drive, which is going to be B. So we type B colon, and the type of test we want to do is a 360. And that should be it. I think that should work. Testing as a 360 double density 40 track, insert media and press enter. So we can put any basically double density media in there. And then let's press enter. And what this is basically doing is seeing what the controller, basically it's seeing what the floppy controller on the motherboard is actually capable of. Now I could never actually get this to come up with anything but fail, trying it with the 1.2 meg drive. It would only ever come up as it go through the test here, it would come up with the verifying, it'd fail every single time. So the fact that the first one's come up, the single density is actually, and the double density have come up okay. So, alright, so it has failed on the double, on that 128 byte a sector there. I'm not sure that's going to be an issue with what we're doing. I think the one that's important here is the double density at the 250 kbps. I think that is what basically we're using for the discs on the 380Z, so fingers crossed this may actually work. Alright, so if we type in IMD now, we can actually run the actual software. And it's pretty good this if you're getting into this. You don't just have to be able to use this for the 380Z. It'll work with like the K Pro, any of the older systems, like the older CPM systems. One of the other great things is this isn't just one way. You can actually use this to read discs in from the 380Z and make disc images for them. And being that I have, like I said, that box full of discs, I don't actually know if I've got anything there that other people haven't got. So one of the first things I am going to do when I get this fully set up and I'm happy is I'm going to image all my discs and make a permanent store of them. So if anything ever happens to my original discs or anything, I've got all these. I would like to perhaps at some point make them available to other people that have got 380Zs. Like I said, I don't know. I very much doubt it. I'm sure everyone's probably got what I've got here, but you never know. You know, I might just have that one bit of software that's got missing. Anyway, right. I'm not going to go through all the introduction and everything. What I would say is, if you're interested in the software and you've got an old MS-DOS computer to run it, just download it. Just type ImageDisk in on Google or whatever your favourite search engine is, and you will find it. It'll fit on a 1.44 meg floppy disk. Load it on an old PC, an old 3 or 486, 286, whatever, and just have a look through what it can actually do. We'll escape from that. First thing we need to do is actually set this thing up, because it's currently set up basically as a, well, it's set up to use drive A. We want to use drive B. It's set up as a high density drive. It's set up, it's probably going to ask, probably be set, well, it's set up as double step. It's probably set up with 2 heads. We can set all that up by pressing S and getting into settings. Oops, got things flying off the sides here now. We want to, I think it's, yeah, set that to drive B. Cylinders we want to change that to 40, so it's a double density that we're doing. Hang on, I said 40. There we go. We want sides, we want one side because we've got a single sided disk drive. Double step we want off. The rest I'm not sure about. I think we're going to let the actual thing deal with that. But we've set as much as we actually can. Let's escape out of there. As you can see, it's all set. Right, let's try and write a disk, I suppose. Or shall we try and read a disk? We could try and actually read a disk from my lot here. So let's do that. I've got, let's see what we've got here. Right, we've got basic Pascal. It's got all sorts of stuff on that disk. So let's try and image that. Let's see if that will actually work. So I know that all these disks actually do boot on the 380Z, so this should be no exception. We'll put that in the drive. So we've got, this is an original from my 380Z. Put that in the drive, and we will hit read disk into file. We need to call it something. We'll call it test. Alright, we want, yeah, no, should we have it in that directory, or we'll have it in the images directory? Yeah, don't get it mixed up. Right, let's try that. We don't want to put any comments or anything on it, so we'll just press escape. Insert disk to read, we've already done that. Press enter to proceed. Let's do that. In fact, the first thing I'm going to try and do, we're going to read this disk into the computer, and then we will try writing it back out to a floppy disk, and then we will try, I've actually only got, this is one problem that I do have, I'm very short on 5 1/4 discs that don't have anything on, or don't have anything on that I actually want. I've only actually got 4, but it's going to be enough to have a play. Right, that seems to have worked. Well, it's not come up with anything bad. 646 sectors, 77 compressed, read complete. Let's press enter. Right, I'll get rid of that disk and put that back in with my my disks for this computer. Okay, now I'll put a blank disk in. Well, technically it doesn't actually have to be blank because of the way it works, it just wipes anything that's on the disk anyway. Let's write disk from file. Right, so we hit W, and this basically is all what I've managed to grab off the web. Well, quite a selection there. What I'm going to do, that's test, which we've just done. So let's select that one. Insert a disk to write. I've already done it. Press enter. And let's see whether it can actually write that image that we've just created back to a disk, and then we'll see if we can actually get it booting, see if it'll actually work on the 380Z. I'm not actually sure how long this is going to take, to be fair, so what I'll do, I'll pause the video and we'll come back when that's actually finished. Okay, and that seems to have completed. That took, what, about 3 minutes, so that's not too bad. I'll take that disk out. Let's enter there, get back to there. Let's try one of the images that I downloaded off the web and see if we can get one of them to write to a disk. That I have already tried to do on the 1.2 meg drive and it just completely failed, but then again I couldn't get through any of them tests that we tried before using that 1.2 meg drive. So let's go to write again. Now I believe that is a copy of CPM. Let's try that. Right, we'll put a disk into write, check, let's enter. Let's see if this is going to work. It seems to be writing. Again, I won't bore you through chugging through all this. I'll come back as soon as that has finished writing to disk. Okay, again that one is finished and it hasn't come up with any errors, so we don't know till we try them on the 380Z, but fingers crossed we've got another disk there. I'll put that away for a second. We'll press enter again. Let's do, well, we can only do 2 more for the simple fact that I've only got 2 more blank floppy disks. Let's stick another one in. And let's again W, and let's see what we've got on here. Unfortunately, when I copied them across, I completely forgot about the fact that they've got the Windows long file names. So I will have to go back through and rename all these. I'll have to fire Windows up to do that, I think. So I don't actually know what we've got here. We've got basic there, I think. Let's see what else we've got. Let's have a quick look here. Right, let's have a look at this. I think this might be, yeah, 380 Northamptonshire Primary Disc 2. So this is obviously something from a primary school. Let's see if this will write to the disk. Press. Ah, right. Now this isn't working. This is basically what happened every time when I was trying to do it with the 1.2 meg drive. Right, let's escape that. Let's try something else. Let's try something just random. Now that seems to be working. Now this must be really old because it's telling us it's single-sided, single density. So this is FM, basically FM format rather than MFM format. But there shouldn't be an issue. It should still be able to write it to the actual disk. But that's nearly finished, I think. We'll let that finish, and then we'll do one more, and then we'll get onto the computer in question, and we can actually try them. Yeah, that seems to have worked okay. So we'll enter there. That's another one done. We've only got one floppy disk actually left we can use, so we'll pick something else off that list. I do have, like I said, I do have another load of files, but I'm not 100% sure whether they are completely 380Z related or not. Let's just grab something else random, I don't know what. Let's try that. I don't think this is going to work. No, this is, again, it's doing the same thing. In fact, some of them, I wonder if I actually do try it with a double density disk drive, see if that's going to make any difference. Right, let's try something else. Let's try that. I don't know what it is, but is that working? Yeah, that seems to be working. Very, very slowly. Right, this is probably going to take a while, this one, so I will pause you again, and then we will come back, and I think we'll be set up on the 380Z. Okay, we're over with the 380Z, so we'll switch the monitor on. We'll switch the computer on. Now, this is the coolest thing about the 380Z. How many computers do you know that you have to turn a key to start them? So we'll start the 380Z. I will get you up on the screen. I'll zoom you in a little bit to the screen. There we go, hopefully you can see that alright. Now this screen is a little bit washed. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just shut the main light off, because I think it'll make... There we go. Hopefully you can see the screen a little bit better there. Okay, well the first disk is the disk that we created, which was one of my original disks that we imaged and then imaged back to another floppy disk. So we will try, in fact what we need to do first, I think, is let me get that original disk, because I'm not actually sure whether it's got a boot sector on it or not. This is the one, isn't it? That's the one that we did. Let's see if the original will boot on the computer. I'll put that in the drive. And to boot these, you'll simply type B. Yes, so it is a boot disk. We'll type DIR, see what's on there. So we've got basic on there, a few other various bits and bats. Okay, excellent. So I will. I'll reset the computer. Put that away. Now if everything's worked, oops, let me get them discs back in their box. Right, if everything has worked according to plan, that first disk should boot exactly the same as we have just booted that original from. So we put that in the drive. If I hit B again, look at that, excellent. Let's do a DIR, see what's on there. Basic, load, pip, stat. Yeah, it is brilliant. Let's see if we can load something. physical. Let's try that. Oh, it's Pascal, sorry. Pascal, it'll be the programming language. Where was it? And we'll see if that'll actually load off the disk. Hi. Question mark. Right, I presume that's in some kind of monitor. Right, anyway, we're happy. That first disk is actually booted. Excellent. What we can do, we'll take that out for a second. We'll try one of them random disks that we created. Now, I don't know whether these are boot disks. We're just trying at the moment. But it does look like we do have a viable way of transferring data. Excellent. Now this is one, like I said, I don't know what's on this. This is one of the ones that we got off the web. Let's see what's on the disk. Right, we've got quite a few bits of basic programs. Have we got basic on there? No. Wonder what pip is. Let's try pip. Oh, it's still got more stuff there. Right, I'm not even sure what half this stuff is. I'm going to have a play with some of this software and see what we've actually got, but it's proved my point that we can actually take those disk images that I've managed to download off the web, and using ImageDisk and some old floppy disks and that old single-sided double density drive, we have actually managed to make software disks that will actually boot on the 380Z. Let's try this another one. Right, we seem to have come up with some kind of monitor there. I'm not sure what that is. I don't think can I do anything from here. What I will say is that my knowledge of CPM and these really old systems is very limited. It's not really like running a modern system. This is not MS-DOS, like I said, it's CPM. It's basically what MS-DOS was ripped off from. Old Mr. Gates never really designed anything of his own. He did tend to steal other people's or borrow other people's ideas. Attend to printer, booter. I wonder if that's a print driver disk or something, boot driver disk, I don't know. Right. And so we are literally just playing with stuff at the moment. Let's try and boot it off that original disk again. We're also using only version 1.4 CPM here. I think in all that lot that I downloaded, I've actually got CPM version 2.2 for this, which I'd like to try and get working. Like I say, I'll do that when I've played about with this computer more. In fact, one thing I really need to do with the computer is give it a service, because I've never actually really serviced this computer. Right. Let's see what else we've got on here. We've got basic on here, and we've got a couple of basic basic programs. Let's try and load basic up. they do seem to be just things that are to do with basic version 5. Let's see what we can put from something with a different disk on it. So we've got anything with any basic programs on it. And we should be able to get a directory listing by typing dir. Even though we're in basic, yes we can. Oh, cool. Now I don't know if any of these are going to work. We've got 3D demo. Right, let's try that. Oh, I've spelled that wrong. Delete. The other thing is really, you've got to get used to the keyboard, because things aren't in the same place as you normally expect. There's two actual keys on this keyboard that you can break your finger on because you think the keys and they're not. And things like, you don't press shift to get your semicolons up for doing a drive letter. It's on its own key. It's just different from using a PC. It takes some getting used to, these really old systems like this. Right, okay, that's loaded. Let's see if it'll run. I don't know what's going to happen here. Let's see. Cool. Actual graphics on a computer designed in the late 1970s. Okay, let's try and list it. That's actually not a lot of basic, is it, to do what it did? Let's see if we can DIR the disk again. See if there's anything else that might be worth having a quick fun look at. That's C logo, program.bat. I wonder what that is. Yorkie I. Let's see what I is. Because I've never seen any of these before. This is one of the discs that's been downloaded off the web, so right, let's see if I can run this. Number of vertices, try 3. Twist size, don't know, 4. Oh, cool. That's quite impressive. Let's try and break out of that. Control escape. Turn. Fastest. Use other keys to adjust speed. R for fastest and S to stop. I can't see how to actually get. Oh dear. Yeah, so basically pressing various different keys you can change the speed that it rotates at. Right, let's get out of that. In fact, we'll give it a quick reboot. Right, in fact, it's already dragging on far too long, this video, so I'll pop you down so you can actually see the old machine again. Give you some light. So yeah, that was a bit of a look at the 380Z and actually getting some software that I found online. Actually getting it from the internet through a few different steps, if you think about it, actually onto original hardware and actually get some of this original software to boot on the 380Z. So I'm going to leave it there for now. Like I say, I hope you enjoyed this little video on what we've been playing about with. I am considering actually doing some renovation work on this system. Believe it or not, this system has never, in my ownership, has never been repaired. It's worked ever since I first got it, but this computer is 40-year-old. At least 40-year-old. It's probably, well, it's over 40 years old. I'm over 40 years old, and it's older than me. It really could do with some preventive maintenance, nothing else. Like I said, I've never even looked at the drives. I think what I might do a series of videos on this computer, and we'll have a look at perhaps servicing the floppy drives, perhaps pull the cards out of it. I'm not even 100% sure what cards are in this computer. I remember the guy that I originally got it off mentioning something about a colour card. However, I've never got any software to display in colour. It's always displayed in mono. But what I did find amongst all the discs is this, which is it's a RML 380Z disc, but it's for it's an A to D converter program. Now, has this? Because I do know that there were many add-on boards, scientific boards and stuff for this computer. Has this got some kind of analog to digital converter board in it or something? Something cool we could perhaps play with? I don't know. So, like I said, perhaps not yet. We've still got the apricot to finish off. I did get... Where are they? I did get a package in the mail a few days ago. These are hopefully a repair for the clock. If not, we're going to give up on that bloody clock, but this is going to be a last try attempt to get that clock working. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little video on the Research Machines 380Z. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.